Well, hello, brothers and sisters. It's good to see you and to be with you. And it is especially good to be able to finally say that we will begin what we will be calling a limited reopening of our church building and a limited period of time for us to engage in assembling together at our church building. So, I want to just take a few moments to review a few things. These are important matters that we need every one of our members to understand and agree to and accept uh, when you come to the church building from this point on. We want to stress that these are all things that are temporary. They are things that can change and no doubt are going to change. But where we stand today, which is Thursday at a little bit before 6 o'clock as I'm doing this, this is where we are at. Okay, so we're not trying to be dogmatic and rigid and dictatorial, but we are wanting to make sure that every one of our members understands what we're doing, why we're doing it, and that when you come to the building, you are, for lack of a better word, consenting and agreeing to comply and go along with the guidelines that we're providing. And I know that we won't have any problem with that, but nevertheless. So here is the plan at this point. We are going to begin meeting on Sunday. And what we're going to do is we're going to have two identical services on Sunday. We're going to have a service at 8:30 in the morning, and then we're going to have a second identical service at 9:45. There will be no Bible class period like we normally have before services, and we're not going to be having an evening service. All we'll have is those two identical services. The reason why we're doing that is because as of today, we are still under the limitation that we can only seat the 25% of our seating capacity at any one time. So that means we can't seat more than 24 to 25 people in our church building. And given what our average attendance is on Sunday morning, we need to break that into two services. So as I speak to you, hopefully you've received a text message which is announcing this, and we need you to be sure that you reply in that text message that Sister Sarah sent out, that in your reply you will identify your family or who you are and how many people there are and what time of service that you would prefer, whether you'd prefer it at the 8:30 service or the 9:45 service. So let me explain. The reason why they're a little bit on the early side is because part of the guidelines is that if as much as possible, if we can not run the air conditioning or open up windows and fans and have the fans running as much to promote circulation. So we know it can get a little toasty in the summer. We think that the earlier that we meet, the less uncomfortable it might be for us. So that's why we've set up those times. We're not saying those are set in stone. We're all in this together. We're all trying our best to comply and be accommodating as well. So those are the two services. And please reply in that text message which of the two service times works best for you, and then we'll try to make sure that we will stay within the limit. So there's that, and then we will have our normal Wednesday evening Bible class time at 7 o'clock. We rarely have more than 25 people on a Wednesday night. We would love to have that problem of having more, but given what the attendance has been, we will continue with our Wednesday evening Bible class at 7 o'clock. Okay, so um, let's look then. Give me a few minutes here to review the guidelines that you and I will be agreeing to whenever we enter the building. So the first one is temperature checks. The last thing in the world we would ever want to do is tell somebody because you have a fever you can't be in the services. But we ask you to understand that by you coming into the building, you are agreeing to have a temperature check, and that you are agreeing that if you have a fever, that you know that it is in the best interest of everybody in the church. And I would say that that would be true even if there wasn't even a crisis, right? If we were sick and have a fever, we shouldn't be at the church building anyway. But nevertheless, we are doing that. We don't want to tell somebody they can't be at services, but we would respectfully ask you to understand that by you coming to the building, you are saying, I agree to that guideline and I consent to do that. So there will be a temperature check. The second thing is that we have a hands-free hand sanitizer right there when you come into the auditorium. Right there in the center there we have a hands-free, touchless rather, a hand sanitizer. So please avail yourself to that as you enter the building. One of the things that's going to be different is our communion service. We're not going to use the communion trays in the interest of, clearly, of sanitation. And so we have these all-in-one communion cups. We'll explain that to you more when we meet. But as you come into the building, we're going to just hand out that all-in-one communion cup to you. So you will receive that all-in-one communion cup. It's sealed. Take your seat. Those will be handed out to you. And then when communion is served, you'll be giving further directions about how we will serve communion and what will be done at that time. Okay, songbooks. We thought it would be good, instead of just rounding up songbooks after every meeting and cleaning them, sanitizing them, that Sister Sarah, I believe, has agreed that she will get some bags and name tags or to identify the song books that family 1, 2, and 3 or individual 1, 2, 3 will use. We'll keep it in a bag, and that way it is identified as your songbook that you alone use, and that way there won't be any problem with transmission that way. Just to note also, we're going to have it's going to be a shorter service time. We want to understand that we are coming together in a kind of closed environment. All these things that we're doing are because we are in a closed environment for a period of time. And so we're going to shorten the service. We're not going to have maybe as many songs in the service as we normally would have done. And then, believe it or not, we're going to ask the preacher to try to make his sermon a little bit shorter as well. So again, this is all done in the interest of being able to make the best conducive environment that we have for the time that we're together, to avoid any contagions, spread of the virus, potential spread. And then also, we're asking, of course, for people to practice social distancing. We don't want to make this some hard, fast rule that we're going to get a ruler out and tell you that you need to sit over there and you can't sit over here. We don't want to get to that place. And as it stands now, with only 25 people per service, it's going to be very easy for people to be seated in a pretty good distance from one another. When the time comes and we can all sit together, which I hope will be soon, I think we can still manage that. Try your best to understand that. If you want to take some time to visit when the service is over, it might just be better to step outside. It's always better to be outside anyway, with reduces the likelihood of a spread. So just be conscientious about it. We're not trying to be dictatorial and point fingers or anything like that, but just do the best you can to understand those particular guidelines. Okay, I don't have anything else other than that. We will continue, of course, to keep you updated and posted. We will hope that the attendance guidelines will be changed. I know we're already seeing upticks in coronavirus cases, and I have a hunch that will have to settle into this way of doing our services for the time being. So we look forward to seeing everybody on Sunday. And until then, God bless, and we'll see you all Sunday. Take care. Thank you.